Atlas Prime, a formidable Warframe known for his earth-manipulating abilities. With the power of stone and the might of a titan, he's a force to be reckoned with. Let's get started. Welcome fellow Tenno to another Warframe guide. Today we're delving deep into the world of Atlas, the Earthshaker. Whether you're a seasoned player or a new recruit, this guide will help you master the power of Atlas and become an unstoppable force. First, let's take a look at Atlas's abilities we'll be using. Landslide. Atlas's first ability. Landslide allows him to launch himself forward, dealing massive damage to any enemies in his path. It's a great way to close the distance and deliver a devastating punch. Petrify. Atlas's third ability, Petrify, turns enemies into stone statues. It's a great crowd control ability, and you can shatter these statues with your other abilities for even more damage. Lastly, Rumblers, Atlas's ultimate ability. Summon 2 stone golems to fight by your side as they draw enemy fire and dish out some serious damage. Atlas's passive is also really powerful. This lets him collect rubble from fallen enemies that have been hardened by his gaze. This rubble builds Atlas's defense up to an additional 1,500 armor. This also synergizes perfectly with his augment, Rubble Heap, which we will discuss in a moment. Now that you know his abilities, let's talk about modding Atlas to maximize his potential. For this build, we'll be focusing on a combination of Landslide and Petrify along with his augment, Rubble Heap, which causes Landslide to consume no energy when above 1,400 rubble. Atlas also greatly benefits from a stat stick, which we will discuss later in the video. Mod-wise, here is what I am running. It is a strong mix of strength, range and duration to ensure that he has adequate damage and ability uptime. For this build, we've also subsumed Nourish over his 2, as for the sake of this build, Tectonics is not useful. This adds viral damage to our attacks, as well as giving us massive energy regeneration, which pairs perfectly with Equilibrium to ensure we never run out of energy to cast Petrify. For those of you who have a maxed Arcane Energize, Equilibrium and Nourish could be swapped out for a damage or grouping subsume such as Eclipse, Roar or Ensnare, and Streamline for better efficiency. As for Arcanes, these are entirely flexible. I like to run Arcane Avenger and Mult Augmented for more strength and crit on my Landslide. In order to ensure that you get the most out of this build, I highly recommend using a stat stick. For this video, I'll be using this Jaw Sword. Don't worry if you don't have this one though. Any melee with a 5 ribbon disposition will work, as it ignores the weapon's base stats and only uses equipped mods and ribbons. For ribbon stats, you're looking for anything with plus damage, plus elemental damage, or plus crit if you want to go for a crit build on Landslide. But be warned, the base crit chance is very low at only 5%. Now that the build portion of this video is done, let's take a look at how to play Atlas effectively. For this gameplay, we're going to be playing the Kuva survival mission on the Kuva Fortress, as it has high level Steel Path Grineer enemies, which are typically the tankiest faction by nature. Before you start the mission, make sure you put down a Hardened Wellspring if you have it available, or an energy pad, and cast Nourish to get your energy to max. Once you start the survival mission by activating the console, enemies are going to start spawning. The first thing you want to do is cast Petrify, and then cast Landslide in order to kill the enemies. Cue the mayhem.